There is currently a way to trade roughly 3 hours of your life to get a glimpse into eternity. Now, you don't need to hire a shaman or lick any psychedelic toads. You just need to fall into this short book that poses one of the most profound challenges to our understanding of both infinity and faith. In A Short Stay in Hell, Stephen L. Peck confronts us with a simple premise. You are plummeted into the depths of hell, but you get a chance to ascend to heaven. Only if you find the right book in a Library of Babel. Now, this library is not just a collection of every book ever written, but every book that could ever be written. Inside is every possible combination of letters and words in the English language, and believe it or not, just as there's a finite number of combinations for a 3-digit bike lock, there's a finite number of books that can exist within this library of every book possible. So you just got to get past the problem of the amount of these finite books exceeding the number of electrons in our universe. Now, funnily enough, there's actually an online version of this library you can visit yourself, and after a few clicks, you'll notice most of it's gibberish. And yet somewhere in its infinite shelves, you'll find every detail of your life, how you were born, the manner in which you will die, and even the entirety of this script. Now, even though this library stretches far beyond your comprehension, it is still nowhere near eternal. However, in this book, the protagonist's short stay in this hellish library becomes a haunting meditation on the nature of eternity itself. The story pivots on a critical moment when a Christian man, furious at being sent to this hell, challenges the demon at the gates. The demon responds by clarifying that, bro, you were following the wrong god all along, and should pretty much consider yourself lucky because unlike what the Christian god would do, this god lets you get out of hell after just a short stay, and doesn't subject you to eternal damnation for not hearing about Jesus or the like. Do you have any idea how long eternity is? The demon asks. This question rings right through the rest of the pages like a bell in an empty library, only to be absorbed by a realization made much later by both the reader and the protagonist that the eternal or infinity does not actually mean that much if the human mind cannot tell the difference between finite and infinite. Now, much of this book, and especially this moment, points down a finger to the human brain and its corruption by hubris, our tendency to play with words and concepts we were never really built to understand. These are the same words like damnation, eternal, salvation that we then tie our faiths, beliefs, and eventually the imperatives we impose on others. Because the true horror of this hell isn't the vast number of books or the tedious task of finding the one you need. The true horror lies in what happens to a person's humanity and consciousness when stretched across the canvas of this seemingly infinite but not anywhere near infinite place. Now, in the first 1,000 years, the inhabitants of this hell, there's like a bunch of them, live out very human lives. Sex, alcohol, education, socialization, violence, war, tyranny, and torture. And in all that time, the only coherent words they find in the sea of gibberish books are the bat housed again, 4 leaves of it. In other words, they play out all the behaviors that come with humanity before they barely even find a book with one coherent sentence. Then comes the next 1,000,000,000 years. Over trillions of years of searching, we watch the protagonist's humanity dissolve. The initial horrors, pain, torture, suffering that these people brought over each other in the first couple thousand years or so fade away into the footnotes. The false prophets and the bloodthirsty tyrants who emerged in those early years in this hell all fade into obscurity. Even lovers held for billions of years and any deeply held beliefs and values become distant memories. So what remains of the protagonist after 1,000,000,000,000 years? It's a faint feeling of hope for what awaits him after he eventually finds his book in his short stay in hell, and a ghostly remembrance of what it once meant to feel loved. Now, this novel claims to truth that being a human, all our morals, our beliefs, our suffering, and our certainties all operate within a small finite boundary. We cannot truly comprehend the eternal, whether that's in the context of eternal paradise, love, or damnation. To understand the truly eternal, whether that's God for the theistic person or the fundamental theory of everything for the atheistic, would require becoming something beyond human. After all, a thing can never truly understand itself if it only has itself for reference, a concept that's echoed by Gödel's incompleteness theorem, Douglas Hofstadter's exploration of self-reference, and Escher's paradoxical art, all showing that true understanding requires something beyond this system itself. Now, all this is just to remind us all that our religious and philosophical certainties, whether Christian, empirical, Buddhist, Hindu, or atheist, are seemingly just human-scale approximations of truths too big for our finite minds to grasp. The differences we fight over are perceptions of suffering, the plight of the innocent. Despite our surety, all of this becomes unapologetically minute in the face of eternity and the greater plans this larger organism of reality has for itself. So this text then serves as another data point on the importance of humility and the blind comfort that hubris provides us as people. You are not compatible with understanding or comprehending your God, whether it's the symbol of Ra or this very fine slice of evidence that's been recycled through our perception, in which we call science. Now, to even comprehend an aspect of your God or nature, you must be so far disassociated from humanity that all these beliefs, morals, and values that you hold so closely vanish along with yourself when confronting this God. In other words, the novel implies that all that we hold onto in this world with utmost certainty caps out at a laughably tiny, finite stage. And yet, the inhabitants can't help but feel a little relief mixed in with the horror, watching everything they believe and feel to their core dissolve rapidly inside what not even needs a drop from the divine concept of eternity.